So listening to Unit 10, Lesson 1, The Growth of the Internet, we are taking notes using the Cornell method of note-taking. Here's the lecture.
Our topic this week is the growth of the Internet. Like many important advances in technology, the Internet did not start with an invention. It started with an idea and a vision for the future. And that idea and vision came from a man named J.C.R. Licklider. Today, I will talk about Licklider's vision. First, you need to understand something about Licklider's background. Unlike others who worked with early computers, Licklider was not an engineer. He started his career in the 1940s as an experimental psychologist. In his work, he used computers to collect and analyze data. Most engineers at the time saw computers as not much more than very powerful calculators. And in fact, that's what most computers were in those days. But as a psychologist, Licklider saw computers very differently. He was interested in using the computer as a communications tool. Licklider was frustrated by the slow progress of his research, so he decided to keep a record of how he spent his work time. He discovered that he spent 85% of his time putting together the data he needed to make a decision or to learn something that he needed to know, even with the help of computers. In other words, he spent most of his time finding information. But once he had the information, he could often understand what it meant and make a decision very quickly, sometimes in just seconds. Because of his own experience, Licklider wanted to find a better way for humans and computers to work together. He thought they should be equal partners because they each had different but equally important strengths. By thinking together, Licklider believed that both computers and people could do far more than either could do alone. This is how he explained it in an article he wrote in 1960. Human brains and computing machines will be coupled together very tightly, and the resulting partnership will think as no other human brain has ever thought and process data in a way not approached by the information handling machines we know today. He also described how in 10 to 15 years, computerized thinking centers would exist. These thinking centers would be used to store and find information, like libraries, but would be much, much larger. And they would be connected to each other and to individual users through a network. Not new ideas today, of course, but Licklider, who was trained in psychology, not computer science, wrote these words in 1960. Amazingly, he had come very close to describing today's Internet. That's all we have time for today. Next time, we will talk about how Licklider's vision became the reality of today's Internet.
Okay, so that is a good example of a type of classroom lecture where someone knows a lot about a topic and they're able to just speak very, very freely about that topic. So we are going to listen again, and then I want you to compare notes in small groups. You can compare your notes, or you can look at my example and compare mine to yours and just discuss what did you catch, what did you hear, and when I say what did you catch, that means what were you able to listen to and comprehend. And then what did your partners catch? What did they hear? Maybe it's similar, maybe it's different, okay? So we'll listen one more time to this 3-minute lecture, and then we'll get into groups and talk about our note taking. I'm going to pause my recording.